As you said, we're going to have a very fruitful discussion on this important topic on taxonomies of educational objectives in assessments. Taxonomies of educational objectives in assessments. Here with me are my prominent people who will assist me in doing justice to this important topic in assessments. And I have Mr. Vincent Dogbe, who will assist in discussing some of these pertinent issues in assessment and how we can understand assessment through taxonomies. Then I have Mr. Emmanuel Ohene Ameza, who will also assist us in discussing these issues, popularly known as what? Cheddar. Yes, so we will be having this fruitful discussion on that. Yes, so once again, we welcome all the level 300 students reading, measurement, and evaluation across all the campuses on University of Cape Coast. University of Education, Winneba. It's been long. I was able to refrain from saying University of Cape Coast when I came here. It was all the time University of Cape Coast, University of Cape Coast. I think I have to try my best. Yeah. So today we want to have this fruitful discussion on these important issues on assessment. In our previous discussions in the classroom, we were able to explain what assessment is, what measurement is, what evaluation is, all the key concepts related to these key issues. And in our quest to understand this in deeper forms, we'll have to also go into the taxonomies of educational objectives and see how best we can frame our assessment tasks towards these goals so that we'll be able to understand and set our questions to meet these objectives. Other than that, we may know the concept of assessment, but we cannot apply them when we are setting our questions for our students. So we encourage all the level 300 students to stay tuned and listen carefully, call in, text in, and provide any suggestions going forward into the lecture. So we want to start with the taxonomies of educational objectives. Taxonomies of educational objectives. We say it is a hierarchical scheme of putting our objectives into several levels of complexity in education. So in the classroom, we have levels of complexity of issues. So we don't just begin from anyhow or anywhere. We know we teach from known to where unknown. Very, very important that in our quest to set our questions, we should be guided about this complexity of educational levels. That is why in our scheme of teaching, we start from the lowest to the highest. In our educational level, we start from the lowest to where? To the highest. As we graduate, the issues become complex in nature. So Mr. Vincent will take us through these three levels. Just explain the domains, then I will come and take them one after the other and see how best we can digest it and enlighten our students and how we can formulate our assessments within the framework of these taxonomies. So we have the three levels of these main taxonomies. We have the cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor. So you take us through these processes or these domains and how best we will be able to use assessment in handling some of these cases. Yeah.
Thank you. As Doug said, taxonomies are the hierarchical schemes for classifying learning objectives into various levels of complexity. As he said, from simple to complex. There are three main domains of educational objectives, and these are cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor. Cognitive domain objectives, they normally produce outcomes that focus on knowledge and abilities requiring memory, thinking, and reasoning processes. Then the affective domain, what is it? Affective domain objectives normally focus on outcomes that are on feelings, interests, attitudes, dispositions, and emotional states. Then we have the last one, which is the psychomotor domain. These objectives produce outcomes that focus on motor skills and perceptual processes.
Good.
So they are the three main domains of educational objectives.
Beautiful. So now let's come to the classroom and break them into levels that our student will understand. When we say cognitive domain, as you rightly said, talking about the memory, talking about reasoning skills, our student knowledge and the ability to remember and focus on things they've learned. So maybe let me come to Mr. Ameza. When we come to the classroom domain, in our cognitive domain, what are we expecting our students to do? What are some of the expectations from our students when we want to measure their cognitive aspects of their knowledge?
Thank you so much, Doc, for the opportunity to be part of the radio lecture this morning.
Welcome, sir.
When you talk of the cognitive domain in our classrooms and what we expect our students to be able to do, we should be looking at their knowledge.
Okay.
The knowledge level, the quantum of knowledge they are able to acquire at the end of the lesson.
Okay.
Now, after the knowledge has been acquired, what else? You can't just acquire the knowledge where you can just recall it. Recalling it alone will not help us as a society. So with these domains, you need to understand, that's the comprehension. Comprehends. So you need to get the content by comprehending it. After you have comprehended or understood it, you ought to also apply. So that's why we have the domain known as the application.
Okay.
Applying. During the process of applying, you need to also analyze. So the next domain is going to be analysis. By analyzing, you would synthesize.
Mm-hmm.
So synthesis. Then after the synthesis, you need to evaluate.
Okay.
I hope we are going to break this down by explaining what exactly we'll be needing in the various classrooms.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. So yes, so cognitive is the first domain we need to measure. These three domains come together to explain the whole individual makeup. So when we want to really assess our students, we have to focus on all these three key domains. We have to look at their knowledge level of what they've learned. Then we see how they'll be able having some affections, feelings, as Mr. Vincent said. Their interest, their emotional status, very, very key and very, very important. Then the psychomotor is very, very important. The talent aspect of it, the skills, the perceptual abilities of these our students. However, let's see this. It does appear that in our educational sector, the focus has been on the cognitive.
Exactly.
Have you realized that?
Yes, please.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
So, what account for some of these things?
For me, I've realized that it is the mode of teaching and the intention behind whatever the teacher, or let me say, as a nation, what we're looking for. The nation is not putting priority to the other domains.
Yes.
Like, let's say, the affective and the psychomotor, especially the psychomotor.
Yeah.
But that is what will drive us as a country to
Sure.
grow. Our intention is just exams. You pass exams, then we are gone. So the students have been trained as such.
Sure.
Maybe I want to get my D and I'm gone. But that shouldn't be the case.
Very
I think
important.
this is the driving.
So
I will also think is the curriculum sometimes
Good.
theoretical and it's as you normally say, chew, pass and forget.
Yeah.
So the practical aspect, the psychomotor and the affection, the disposition, we don't measure them.
Yeah.
In assessment actually.
Sure.
So it's about writing what you know. So we actually focus on the first 6 main aspects, which is under the cognitive domain, the knowledge, comprehension, and even that we don't even go upper, like the application, synthesizing. So that is what I also think about, limiting ourselves to the cognitive domain.
I think that's why we have to appreciate the new curriculum that is coming.
Sure.
Which places much emphasis on these domains.
Exactly.
You see, people elsewhere are doing better, not only on the cognitive aspect.
Yes.
People are doing better,
all
like
around
Messi,
education,
footballers, Ronaldo and co. I don't think they have degrees.
Yeah, the rich guys doing
They are all having these other aspects of the domains which we need to focus. Yeah, so we want to see how best we can frame assessments. So the assessment will target all these domains to develop the individual holistically. Very, very important. So our brother Meza touched on the cognitive aspect. So I want to spend some time on the cognitive aspect. So I want to look at the knowledge aspects, the comprehension, how to apply what we know. Then after that, we have to break it down into smaller pieces to understand the bits and pieces of it. Then we need to do analysis, synthesis. We have to synthesize the whole process. Then after that, we do evaluation. Now we are taking one after the other. The taxonomy, that's the Bloom's taxonomy. Let's place it on record that all that we are talking is coming from Bloom's taxonomy. That is Bloom.
Sure.
That he classify all these taxonomies into these levels. Now let's take the knowledge aspects. What goes into the knowledge? When we say knowledge, as teachers, as assessors, what can we do to measure the knowledge aspect of our student? Maybe let me start from Vincent.
Actually, knowledge involves the recall of specifics and universals, the recall of methods and processes, or the recall of patterns, structure, or setting. So knowledge actually is just what you know, what you can. It's like it's a knowledge that you can just talk about and you don't go deeper. Who is this? Then you mention that is knowledge. So those are the verbs that normally measure knowledge. List this. Who is the president of Ghana? You are just calling the name of the president of Ghana, Dr. Mahama. Then you are done. So knowledge limits you to recall or facts. That is knowledge.
Good. So you realize that back in school, class 1, class 2, most of our questions are recall questions.
Exactly.
States, mention, list. So we ask them to list the part of the body. We are mentioning the recall process. Very, very important. And the reason is that at that level, their knowledge is so limited that they cannot be able to comprehend what they do or they know. So that is why at that level, we ask them to recall facts. As we said, mention your MP's name. They'll be able to do that. Describe the MP, they cannot.
Exactly.
Because they have no much limited knowledge, or they have limited knowledge in that. Now let's come to the comprehension aspect. Mr. Meza, comprehension, as teachers, what are we looking at? We are moving another step ahead. In the comprehension aspect of the taxonomy, that is the cognitive, what are we looking at?
Thank you, Doc. We are looking for the students having the knowledge, being able to recall that material that he has learned. What then can he use the material for? Using it for something means you need to understand what the material is. So in education, is setting our objectives. After you have recall by using words like what is, you need to have the student understand what the recall is and what is even communicating. What that material is communicating. This is what educationists or those, let me say, Bloom is looking for from we, the teachers, and also the students. So when it comes to comprehension, this is what I will talk about it.
Good. So I always see most of us are quick to mention the name of our villages. However, when we ask us to explain how did the name come about,
we don't know.
We don't understand. So I can just say, oh, I'm from this, I am from this. Why? Then we don't know. So some of these things explains how we should be able to measure our students in that manner. So whilst we know or we can recall, we should understand what we are recalling. Very, very important. Now let's come to application. Listen, in the application process, as teachers, what are we expecting our students to do? What are we expecting them?
Thank you, Doc. Actually, application simply refers to the use of abstractions in particular and concrete situations. So I know, let's say, the home econ students know about nutrition. Maybe the food that gives vitamins. How will he or she be able to apply that knowledge to prepare a meal? So that after taking that meal, you get all the required nutrients. So after getting the knowledge, you know this is giving you carbohydrate and you understand what carbohydrate does to the body. That is the comprehension. Then you now come to the application of that knowledge in producing maybe a meal, maybe a fried rice. And that means the knowledge that you have, the first level, the aspects, you understand it, now you are applying the knowledge. So that is the abstraction things that are not concrete, you bring them to real life. That means you apply knowledge.
Very good.
That is about application.
Good. So let's look at our educational framework even as a country as a whole. Do you think we are lacking something about the application process?
We are lacking
Exactly.
a lot.
That-
Yes,
not
that
really
we have all the
aspects.
theoretical aspect. We can explain all the theories.
Exactly.
We know all the things. We can get all the A's.
We understand some of them too, but we don't apply most of them.
That is another problem.
The practical aspect,
Yes.
breaking our abstract knowledge to be the real life, we don't. And I think it's about the assessment.
Yes.
Because I'm writing WASI, and maybe my aspects is just true and poor, as we say. Science, I define atom. There is nothing to use to maybe apply that knowledge.
Yes.
So we limit it to basically understanding it, knowing and understanding it. We don't go to the next level of applying.
Yeah, Mr. Meza, so how, in our assessment process, how should we tailor our assessment in such a way that we go beyond just knowing, we go beyond just understanding the process, the theoretical aspect, and go into the application aspect? How others have done it? How can we do that in our classrooms?
Basically, I think when we look at the 21st or the modern
Yeah,
assessment
yeah,
we have, let me say, even when we are able to apply differentiated learning alone
yes,
in our classrooms,
yes,
you are good to go.
yes.
When I say differentiated assessment, is by you taking the interest and the individual student into context. What can the student do? There is a student who can write very well.
Yes.
When given a theoretical aspect of examination, he is perfect.
Yes,
There's a student who can do very good presentation. Why not assess that student when it comes to presentation? There's a student, when you say prepare slides, the student will be excellent there. Why not assess students when it comes to that area? And I said, do the hands-on work that student can do, but might not be very good in the theoretical writing. So we assess students all by theoretical writing. So it means the rest are chaps,
Yeah.
but they are those we need in a society.
good. Very, very important that we channel our assessment to application aspects, but we should be mindful of the level as well.
Sure.
That is why there's very complexity in the whole process. Now, whilst we apply the process, we need to begin to analyze it.
Yes.
There are cases where we can apply. However, the analysis aspect is also a problem. We are not able to break down the issues. What can we do to do that in the analysis process? What are we looking at? What do we expect our students to do? Maybe let me come to Vincent.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Analysis, which simply means the breakdown of a communication into its constituent elements
Okay.
or parts, such that the relative hierarchy of ideas is made clear.
Good.
And or the relations between ideas expressed are made explicit.
Yes.
So, as I was saying, we apply the knowledge. You have to analyze what you have done. You break it down into aspects to analyze it bit by bit. So, the food that I talk about,
Yes.
we can still talk about the component of the food.
Sure.
Maybe the stew aspect or the sauce on the food,
Yeah.
the rice itself,
Yes.
the ingredients that come together to make the food. You can break them down
Yeah.
and talk on all the
Those
aspects.
beautiful.
That is, you are analyzing the
whole
food,
menu,
the whole
yeah.
thing into
Good.
aspects. So we can put that into our classrooms,
Yes.
so that whatever the students are doing after applying the knowledge, they can break whatever they've done into aspects.
Good.
And take the various aspects as a whole.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, so we are reminding those who are now joining us that this morning we're having a radio lecture on taxonomies of educational objectives in assessments. And very soon we'll be allowing you to come in the conversation, where you can join us through the number 0503 923158. Same channels are available on Radio Windy B 98.3 FM. You can also log on to the university website www.uw.edu.gh. All these channels are available for you to join in our conversations whilst we discuss this important topic in measurement, assessment, and statistics indication. Here with me has been Mr. Vincent Dogbe and Mr. Emmanuel Ohine Ameza. We've been discussing this fruitful discussion on these key concepts. We now know what the taxonomies are, the hierarchy of all these taxonomies, and we are breaking them into smaller units for us to understand, and importantly, relate them to our assessment in our classrooms and how we can do that. Now we know we can apply, we know we can analyze. We have to synthesize the whole process. We have to synthesize the whole process in our classroom. What do we do at the synthesis points? At our quest to be able to, we have to synthesize the whole issues. Yes, so Mr. Ameza, what do we do there?
You see, what I understand is these domains,
yes,
it is built up.
Sure.
It's a build up. So after analyzing, which is the breakdown into constituent of elements or parts, after you have broken down and understand them at those parts levels, you need to now bring them together. So you put this element together, then you form a whole. And then you can get the parts, they form a whole. And this whole makes you a productive student and a complete person for the society who can contribute to nation building. So
very, very important. We give students assignments. They say, I can't find information. You know why? They are lacking their synthesis process. Joining pieces together is very, very important. You see, in our country here, we mostly feel like we are not resourceful. We can join pieces together to form a whole. To make sure things are complete. So you see, in our exams process, I've been writing exams. You join ideas together. I learned something in psychology. I can be able to trap in those ideas. I learned something in measurement, in assessment. I have this. Joining the pieces together, as you said, make you a complete human being. Very, very important. Now, let's move to the highest level of the whole process.
The cognitive domain.
Yes. Now, whilst we can do all these things, we should be able to judge. Very, very important. We need to be able to pass a value judgment about the whole process. And we say that is the highest form of the cognitive domain. Under the evaluation, what are we expecting our students to do? What do we expect them to do?
So to evaluate, simply we said is judgments about the value of material and methods for giving purposes. So as you said, we should be able to judge whatever we have done. Or I did A, B, C. I think A is at maybe good, B is better, and C is the best.
Good.
So when you put it that way, you are evaluating the situation or everything that you've done so far, and is the highest under the cognitive domain. As you said, there are 6 aspects under the cognitive domain. So when you're able to do all this, then you are done with the cognitive domain. The final aspect is the evaluation of whatever you've learned, and in assessment is the most difficult. Let me put it that way, because the knowledge you recall, you talk about it, but to evaluate what you've learned in practical terms is the most difficult. That is about evaluation.
The highest form of the cognitive ability or the cognitive levels. Very, very important. Before you can evaluate, unless you know, you can apply, you can synthesize, be able to do all this before you can be able to judgment. Yes, very, very important. Yes, look, we can set up. Yes, sir.
Can I add this?
Yes.
At the highest points when it comes to the Bloom's taxonomy.
Yes.
Because since we were going forward and talk about some other things that has been added, that's the highest point when it comes to the Bloom taxonomy. Thank you.
Yes, so we'll be looking at the revised version where we look at the creation aspect of the whole process. Yes. Now let's come to the classroom. We are teachers. We are people that impact knowledge. And we feel like assessment is one of the key components of transforming our educational fortunes. Always, when I read the new curriculum, I realize that the assessment is the center of all the process. To transform our nation, the way we assess is very, very important. It will change the dynamics, to change all the parameters of what we do here. And assessment is very, very important in bringing out the new curriculum. Now let's come to the classroom. I want to measure knowledge. Let's go to the verbs that I can use in measuring knowledge. What are some of the verbs that I need to use in measuring knowledge? We are not going to go, there are several of them, but let's put it on record that they may overlap. based on what you want to do.
Yes.
Exactly.
Let's come to the knowledge. We say in the knowledge, maybe Mr. Emmanuel will take us through the just mention some of the verbs that we encourage our teachers to use.
And you want to measure knowledge.
Yes.
When setting your objectives
Yes.
or setting your assessment items.
Yes.
Verbs you can use is define,
Yes.
name,
Mm-hmm.
list,
Good.
mention. These are few verbs
Verbs
that you can use.
Yes. So it's very important at the KG level, class 1, you pick student assignment in there to demonstrate. It's too high for them.
Exactly.
We expect them to do the lower level, and that's what we encourage our teachers to do.
Sure.
So our practicing teachers out there, our level 3 and students who are doing measurement, we're encouraging you, know the level you are teaching and the type of questions to ask. There are cases your daughter will bring assignment from the school, and what they are demanding at that level, realize that it's just overboard. Yeah, so we should be measured by that. Yeah. Then again, let's come to comprehension. Mr. Vincent, what are we looking at? What are some of the verbs that we should encourage our teachers out there to use?
Okay, comprehension, we actually try to tease out
Yes.
Information from our students.
Sure.
So they are to explain important information. So we can talk about verbs like translate,
Yes.
discuss, describe.
Yes.
Because if you can comprehend, you have to be able to describe something.
Yeah.
Then recognize, express, locate, review, report. All these come under comprehension.
Yes. So you see, the verb tells us what a person can do.
Yes.
If you don't know, you cannot discuss.
Yes.
If you don't know, you cannot describe.
Exactly.
That is why when we come to the university, most of our questions sounds like explain,
Yes.
Exactly.
describe, discuss. We believe that now you know the thing. Don't just list it. Tell us what it means.
What it is.
And what it is
What
as
it
well.
is. That means you
Very, very
understand
important.
it.
Yes.
Sometimes you can know some things, but you don't understand the thing.
Yes.
I know this is A, but I don't understand it.
Yes.
So it is at a higher level than
Good.
knowledge. That is comprehension.
Can this one also limit copying?
Yes.
Yes.
It can lead copying.
It requires critical
Seriously.
thinking. A little
Yes.
bit of critical thinking. So it's not just you list and go
away.
Yes, you describe it.
Yes.
And you explain it if you are able to comprehend.
Now let's come to the application. What verbs can we use to set questions for students at its level?
So we have verbs like interpret,
Yes.
apply, use, demonstrate, practice, operate,
Yes.
and sketch.
Yes.
These are application
Yes.
verbs that we could use
Good.
as teachers to assess the application level of our students.
Yes. So we mostly measure our students through that aspect where we want them to demonstrate something. Yes, if you say you know, you understand. Doing it and let's see.
Demonstrate.
I keep telling my students that if you go through the university system and you go back to your local church, you go back to your local village, and there's a program you cannot handle, but you can come to the class and do good presentations, yet you go to your village, they have to come and lead their community, something small there, but then you run away. Fun wanted. I mean, you're not applying what you've learned in school. We've studied basic things in school here where we expect that when we get to your village, we apply those things in the village, but yet we don't see ourselves demonstrating that. Very, very important. Now let's come to analysis. What do we do there as teachers? What should we do to be, maybe just mention a few of them to be guided?
Yes, so in analysis, it's solving open-ended problems.
Yes.
So we have things like to distinguish,
Yes.
analyze. So analyze, just from the word analysis.
Yes.
You have to analyze, differentiate, calculate, experiment.
Yes.
You test, you compare, contrast,
Yes.
criticize, inspect, even debate.
Yes.
And so on. So those are some of the verbs that can lead our analysis questions or objectives.
Very, very important. You see, we are expert in this area, and sometimes we see questions and private questions and other questions. You pick at a question and look at where the level at which it's measuring. Most teachers just feel like they understand words. I remember back in school, university, one of our lecturers brought some words like elucidate 4 factors, circumambulate 4 reasons.
The verbs.
The verbs are just there. we don't know what to elucidate. We don't understand that word. How can we solve the question? Very, very important that we should be guided as teachers. Don't feel like, oh, I came to Unibar and I've studied measurement and me, the verbs are there. Just go. Question 1. Students, pick your papers and circumambulate 4 factors. They will actually be laughing because they don't understand what
level are you even measuring? That's very,
very, very important.
Which aspect of knowledge?
So, Ima, take us through issues about the synthesis. What are verbs that we should be guided on?
Comes to the synthesis. In as much as we are trying to bring pieces together, parts together, you need to be looking at words like compose, plan, propose, design, formulate, arrange, assemble, collect, construct, create, set up, organize, manage, prepare. If you look at all these words, it means at the synthesis level, after you have broken down, then you need to bring them together again. To make
very, very important that we bring all the pieces together to solve a problem in our community. Sometimes you go back to your community, there's a problem, we just want a solution. The solution is there. Bringing pieces together, that is all. And that can help us solve the problem. In the evaluation process, now we begin to judge the whole process. And that is where we say the highest form of the cognitive level, where we need to begin to judge the whole process, provide value judgment. That is how we place our judges to the high level of knowledge. Before you can give a verdict on issue, you must have studied the whole process, understand it, before you can write a judgment on it. So law is one of the levels that we can appreciate by their knowledge in issues. We can revise the whole process, assess it, and estimate the whole process. We can ask our students to do that when we are measured by all these levels of educational taxonomies. Now let's come to the revised version. Yes, Bloom's taxonomy came out with a revised version of the whole process. They are related, almost the same. However, Bloom's merged some of the levels and added one of the key one, that's creation of knowledge. So maybe Isaima will take us to just the new level, the remember, understanding, applied, almost the same. But he says now, we don't just have to end at evaluating the whole process without creating. And I can tell you that creation aspect of the knowledge is what is selling other countries. How to create new knowledge. Do you remember that back in school, GHS, we used to do arts and crafts?
Yes.
Where we used to go to the bushes, maybe cut some trees, form a mortar pestle.
Yes.
We go to the bushes, mold, we go to the riverside, take some clay, come and mold. So many, what is happening? Sameza, what is happening to our creation aspect of knowledge?
Our creation aspect is gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. We are rather thinking modernization.
Yes.
So we are leaving those crafts and other things
Which is very
behind
important.
us. Because as at that tender age, I can weave baskets.
Yes.
And before vacation,
Yes.
we bring our crafts to display, and they give marks.
Yes.
They add it to your exam score.
Today, if you get a Don Simon for a teacher,
You are good
You
to
are
go.
good to go. You can even buy a
Look,
mackerel.
I remember.
You are good to go as your craft.
Back in the baby school, it is out of these crafts.
Yeah.
I learned how to weave baskets, as he said.
Exactly.
Yes.
And this basket weaving in the village, at the point I made coins to buy my own
income.
stuffs.
Can you imagine?
Yes, to the creation
So
aspect.
that's the creation
You
aspect.
started getting income.
But today, go to the village itself.
Yes.
Those things are not there.
They're not there.
The village boys cannot even weave
Yes.
one basket. It's everything is now
Even broom.
plastic.
Some of them
Brooms.
don't.
You
Broom.
can't even prepare brooms.
We
That's
used to do brooms as craft. We sell. We
And
have.
we
So-
import
money.
broom from everywhere.
Yes.
I am feeling.
And we are even going for the plastic ones.
So
no
creation
more
is
palm
killing
frond.
our local economy.
The modernization.
Exactly.
Local economy. Today,
And I'm feeling also, Doc,
yeah.
neglecting this aspect of our education is throwing our culture away.
Yeah.
We are adopting and accepting other cultures, and ours is gone.
Very, very important that if you go to China, their spoon is still the old, they use their own, what they call it, the ladder one to feed.
Yes.
But we import,
Yes.
and they do something, and we import from them to
Yes.
feed our kids.
Exactly.
Very, very important. Before we do a summary, we just have to remind you that this is Radio Windy Bay, 98.3 FM. And this morning we'll be having a discussion on the taxonomies of educational objectives. And this morning, we've gone through all these processes, the levels that are available for us to understand. Very soon, we open the lines for you to join in the conversation where you can call and text in either through Facebook or SMS on WhatsApp. Yes, we just have to go through so say Ima will take us through just the levels, then we begin to summarize the whole process and wait for your comment and your conversations as well.
Yeah, Doc, if you call us Ima, it sounds some way. So the name is Amazon. Yes, Cheddar. Yes,
Cheddar One.
Cheddar One.
Yes.
So the revised form of the Bloom's taxonomy is parting away a little bit.
Yeah.
Say knowledge.
Yes.
Not just the knowledge. You say remember.
Yeah.
After you have remembered, not understanding again.
Yeah.
Not
Understand.
comprehension.
Not comprehension,
Yeah.
but understand.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It gives the same meaning, but
More deeper.
more deeper.
Yeah.
After you've understand, you need to apply. Now we are not saying application again. You say apply. When you apply, then you say analyze.
Yes.
Analyze is still maintained.
Yes.
But before you go to evaluation and integration, they've taken something off,
Yeah.
which is the synthesis.
Yes.
They bring the bringing together of the pieces.
Yes.
Now, there's the likelihood that during your evaluation, definitely you
You
bring those things
synthesize.
together.
Yeah.
You synthesize during evaluation. So, as you've evaluated, evaluated, let's say, a particular knowledge, what next?
Yes.
What next?
Yes.
You don't end there.
Yes.
You need to create. You need to create something, an artifact. So, to me, it means that at the end of our educational journey at a particular level, we should be able to come out with a product.
Yeah. And project work supposed to serve that purpose.
Exactly.
Yes.
But Doc, I want to say on authority that in our various institutions we don't lay emphasis on the project works,
Yeah.
and we sometimes we even do some programs, practical programs,
Yeah.
but you still go to write theoretical exams
Yes.
without you doing the practical aspect
Aspect
for
of it.
assessment.
Yeah. It's very, very important that. So we open the lines for you to join in. Those who want to text could do that. And those who want to WhatsApp can also do that in the process of the conversation. But before we wait on that, we just have to do a recap of what this morning we've been doing so far. We said assessment is premised on how we assess our students, or knowledge is premised on how we assess our students. Very, very important that we don't just have to allow our students go through the process of education. We don't subject them to testing process. And we test to measure some key component from our students. And we should be guided as teachers, as educationists, as people who want to lead the frontiers of our educational fortunes. And therefore, we should be guided as such. So this morning, we've been just looking at these taxonomies that are available for us. Then Mr. Vincent took us through the 3 levels of the taxonomies, where we have to have the cognitive, we had the affective, and the psychomotor. Then we went through the process of how we were able to bring this one into the classroom level. We're not just assessing our students, but we are guided about what we are assessing them. And we are not just taking words and combining words to make our assessment beautiful. Some teachers will tell you, "Share me, my question, I've tricked them with some word."
Yes.
Those things are not helping. We don't really know what we do. I keep saying that as a nation, we need to understand assessments.
Sure.
When we understand our assessment, we change everything. Maybe the way we question our student in the house, our kid in the house, the way we do so many things will help transform our educational sector. So this is what we've been doing this morning. Then we went through the levels. Maybe any of you can take just through the levels that we went through, the cognitive levels, and what will be the take-home message for our students this morning. And I believe that when we meet them, we just have to skip some of these topics so that we can go faster. Yes, any of you can take us through.
Okay, so we talk about the 3 main domains: the cognitive domain, affective domain, and the psychomotor domain. And under the cognitive domain, we talk about the 6 main aspects, which begins from knowledge, that is the simplest, to the comprehensive,
Yeah.
application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, which is the complex, the most complex over there. Then we talk about some of the verbs that determines whether you are measuring knowledge, you are measuring comprehension, you are assessing application, analysis, synthesis, or evaluation. The verbs are there, a lot of them. Then we move on to the revised version of the Bloom's taxonomy under the cognitive domain. And my brother, Mr. Mezan, talked about the remember, which means recognizing and recalling facts. Then he talked about the next level, which is understand. That is understanding what the facts mean. Then we have the analyze, breaking down information into component parts. Then we have evaluate, which is judging the value of information or ideas. Then at the apex, the top of that cognitive domain is create, combining parts to make a whole under the revised version.
Very, very, very important and well captured. Yes, let's take some social media comment from our students and our colleagues, friends outside there. Gideon Afaman is saying, thank you, Doug. We are enjoying your presentation. Thank you too for tuning in and listening as well. We have, is it Ajwal Sewa is also saying good morning. Good morning, Sewa. Then we also have Fred. Fred is saying we are enjoying your presentation. Fred is also part of the whole process of understanding taxonomies. We have Isaac Asamoah is saying good morning, Doug. My name is Isaac, as you said, from Department of Accounting. He's listening to us live from Winnipeg as well. We have other friends coming in like Prince. So we have, let me take Eric first. Eric saying good morning. He's from Hypers Department. I take Dr. Frank's student as well. Mastering over subject matter. Kudos to you and your team. That is Prince. Prince, thank you so much. Then we also have Dasmani. Dasmani saying good morning. My name is Dasmani, as you said, counseling psychology. I'm enjoying your lecture. Good submission from your young role models in the studio. Please take the verbs used in measuring evaluation again. So we have to take the verbs in the evaluation aspect. So let's see, Mr. Meza, he wants to understand the verbs that we mentioned at the evaluation aspect. That is the judging, appraising, or whatever you say. Maybe you can just take us through once.
So thank you so much. On top of the knowledge aspects, we have define, repeat.
He wants the evaluation.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Only the evaluation aspect.
Okay, Doc. So the evaluation aspect, we said judge, appraise, evaluate, rate, compare, revise, assess, and estimate.
Yes.
These are few ones we will talk about. There are other verbs that you can use.
Yes.
In as much as it's matching with the evaluation.
Very, very important. In as much as you want to evaluate the whole process. You can even use the word evaluate.
Yes.
Evaluate the process of doing something. Maybe you are a counselor, because she's from the counseling department. Let's use that as the case. Maybe you are a counselor, you've given your client some things to do. You just want the client to evaluate the whole process and understand, and you make a decision out of that evaluation process. Very, very important that we get to know that. Yes, so this is what we've been going through. Maybe whilst we wait for the other comment and other suggestions from our dear students, let's bring this back to our dear nation. And as Ameja is so almost passionate about developing this country, assessment, as I said, is very key. And we began by saying that it does appear that our educational sector is focused on recall facts. The application, even the cognitive we believe to be measuring, we are leaving some part out. And even at the university level, where we expect our students to apply knowledge, still go back to the issues of recall. What can we do as practitioners, as teachers, as people who want to inform decision? What should we do to transform some of these basic things? Because elsewhere, you understand that elsewhere, assessment is so friendly.
Exactly.
Assessment is such a way that students can be relaxed and perform assessments. However, in our context, like assessment is boot for boots.
Yes.
What do we do?
Assessment is very important.
Yes.
Assessment even determines how we, the students, will prepare.
Yeah.
Because I know at the end, Doc will ask me what is the difference between measurement and evaluation. So I'll prepare towards that.
Yes.
I know Doc will not ask me a case study to maybe solicit my knowledge in the practical aspect of assessment. So I'll choose the definitions of assessment and pour it. So at the end, you can assess my judgments. That is the evaluation aspect. So I think we should tailor our assessments. The objectives should be in a way that we can practicalize whatever we are learning.
Yes.
Our objectives should be practicalized at the end, after gaining from simple to complex, after gaining the knowledge. You should be aware at the end you do something that will solicit whether you understand, you can be able to create. So the WASI or the end of semester examination should be in a way that every student is aware. I'm not just going to do poor pass and forget. I'm going to do something which will remain. Then it will help develop this nation at the end. As you mentioned, China, the younger ones, you see them YouTube, then they are assembling things. They are doing cars. Even I saw something on agriculture, and as early as 8 years, they are watering tomato and other things. They are in a garden. But here in Ghana, there is nothing in agriculture that those days we used to have school gardens that we go to. But now we just learn about maize. We draw plants, label them. This is the root, stem, flower. Then that is all. We don't even go to see the real thing. So
have you realized that these days people are into the business of importing goods, basic home materials,
everything
is from China.
Everything.
Look, cap.
Everything we import.
Maybe Ameza will come in.
Yes.
Look, sometimes when I sit down as a teacher and maybe one day becoming an academia, I think I need to cry for my country. Because my country is on the verge of collapse. Why do I say so? When it comes to even a university, our assessment, everything is theoretical. I have friends who are in abroad. They'll tell me sometimes during assessment, they'll give you a material to go and read. Read, make meaning out of it. Just come and present the meaning you have made. And what you can use that meaning for. That is the assessment. Even if a student cannot take the assessment on that day, because the student is not prepared, he has the right to say, no, I'm not prepared this day. So,
but do you think it can be done in Ghana here?
If you are deliberate,
where we allow students, the students we handle, then again, let's acknowledge some challenges here. You are teaching at the senior high school or junior high school or in a university. Your enrollment is 55 students in the class. And this student, if you are to give them practical work, you have to assess all of them. Is it feasible? Is it something we can achieve?
Another area.
Can we acknowledge that challenge? Look at the university here. Look at our numbers. But we need to also allow everybody to have access to education. Which is the basic requirement, and everybody's right. As a Ghanaian, we cannot deny you because of, in quote, numbers. So are we acknowledging those factors?
You are right, but if the curriculum from the top make room for all the 50 students to do something practical, we will do it. We are the master of the classroom. So it's based on the curriculum. If the curriculum says, oh, you are a social studies teacher, but make sure it is a drama something when you are teaching marriage. It shouldn't be just the definition of marriage. So it is stated there. And me being the teacher, I'm aware that at the end my CIAs will come. Now we call them CISOs, not service supervisors. When they come, they are looking at my work output in that manner. Not bring your exercise book, because now they come, bring your exercise book, let me check your the number of exercises that you give the student. So I will also do that. But if it is practical based, we dramatize, we do some role play. Then I know I'm teaching a social studies topic, but the practical aspect is there. Maybe take them to the chief palace to talk about culture, and I assess them based on that. So it can come from the top. Maybe NACA should implement that. Then the 50 students will be in the class.
The good news is that the new curriculum will take away some of the deficiencies.
The standard-based curriculum is doing very well.
The standard,
our university here today are doing very well. Most of the departments. I always see my high-paid students jumping under
let me acknowledge that.
When it comes to the practical level,
the home econs student, I see
very well.
Even our place,
You see,
practical.
one day I was driving.
Psychology. So this university, they are doing very well.
One day I was driving past the student center just here, and I saw students standing there drawing the whole student center, and they I asked, what is it? That's the exams. And
Sure.
I said, wow. I was so much impressed.
This is what we expect.
Yes.
This is
So
what we
it must
expect.
go to
Yes.
the basic level.
You can't be a
Pre-tertiary.
visual art teacher and you cannot sketch a tree.
Yes.
You get it?
Yeah.
Sometimes my kids bring assignment from the house and simple, something small I can't draw.
There's a chemistry teacher finish.
No, I did visual arts at the
Education or something, but they can produce soap. A chemistry lecture. But this our university, I'm proud of them because
For sure, for the
everything,
practical
so it's
aspects.
the basic level, the
Yes.
foundation, the primary, the JHS, the senior high school. That is where NACA and other authorities, the bodies must
Yeah.
put practical so that we can evaluate, we can synthesize, we can create.
Okay.
That is what I think we can do about it.
Let me take your final remarks, then we can sign out from Mr. Emmanuel Ameza, popularly known as Cheddar. Your final remarks so that we can sign out.
Thank you, Doc. My final remarks, I would want to greet all the postgraduate students out there.
Okay.
I'm very happy to be here. Postgraduate students, I will urge you all to go for your student ID cards. Despite few challenges you are facing as students, there have been alternative measures to get our cards. So if you go there, you even don't have your receipt, just get your dates which you did the medicals, and they can trace it for you. Even with that, if at the end of the day they are not able to trace it, we are still working out solutions to those who can't get it without their receipts and still can't remember their date. And I would meet you there in your various lecture halls.
For sure.
This Cheddar, your humble servant. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you. Maybe final remarks from Mr. Vincent.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doc. My greetings goes to all the measurements, evaluation, and statistics in education students.
Okay.
Level 300 students. That is why we are here this morning.
For sure.
And I cherish how they are trying their best.
Yeah, responding.
And yes, they are responding. A lot of messages are there, but due to time constraint.
Yeah.
And the next is I want to thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to acquire these skills and implement it in our lives. And greetings goes to all my counseling psychology MPhil's colleagues, my mates, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us to have this practical, fruitful discussion. And this has been Radio Winning Bay 98.3 FM. Coming your way is Dr. Simon NTUMI. Then I have Mr. Vincent. Maybe Cheddar one.
Yes, Doc. I would want to acknowledge my mates, measurements, assessment, and evaluation students. Doc, I want to inform you that some of my colleagues are downstairs there. They should be around. Rudy and John, they wanted to be here, but we started before.
More to come.
And I know they are listening to us. So Rudy, John, Gabby, and the squad, the measurements and assessments
Thank
squad.
you
Thank
very
you
much, sir. So we hand over the studios to you. We are grateful for your time. Bye-bye.